So, Young Thug's lawyer sentenced to 20 days in jail for contempt. Thugger's lawyer is in trouble too. Now this is this is just Lord, I don't know what to say. Young Thug is facing up to 120 years in prison if convicted on a RICO charges. The rapper is believed to be prosecuted to be founder of the leader of the YSL. His lawyer, Brian Steele, has fought tooth and nail to ensure that his client sees the light of day. Steele encountered the wrath of the legal system. However, on June 10th, the lawyer confronted the prosecution of the judge over an alleged secret meeting that they had an alleged Young Thug associate. Steele took both parties and asked over the alleged meeting, as the associate's Kenneth Copeland is said to be the star witness of the case. If it's true, this is a coercion, Steele says, as well witnesses intimidated ex parte communications that we have a constitutional right to be present for. He cited that a source he refused, however, to name the source despite the demands of the judge. Young Thug's lawyer noted that an answer would violate attorney-client protection and work product privilege. The judge tried to order an answer out of Steele by giving him an ultimatum. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, he asserted. If you don't tell me who is, I'm going to put you in contempt. Steele, sticking to his words, responded, I don't need 5 minutes. The lawyer allowed to carry out the rest of his case and was taken to custody soon after. Steele would spend 10 weeks in jail. This means 20 consecutive days behind the bar. Steele requests to spend these days in jail with Young Thug. If his bail is denied, some 20-plus lawyers stood outside the courtroom to show their support for Steele. Brian Steele has been adamant about Young Thug's innocence since day one and told 11 Alive that he's appalled by the rapper's legal treatment. I have the pleasure of defending Williams in approximately a decade. I know his family. I defended him in courtrooms multiple times. Steele also noted, however, that Young Thug's musical persona does not reflect the real life. In an act, they are performers. They are performing all the time, much like, I guess, professional wrestlers. We don't even know their real names. They're performing all the time. I think this is interesting that he would end that with that conversation, because that's, I don't want to, well, we'll just talk about Young Thug right now. Yeah, I think that that last piece of them performing all the time is also the gift and the curse. The reason why Young Thug is so successful is because he is an excellent performer. If that's what we're saying that he is, as an artist, he's been able to get people to believe the things that he's saying. Who know to the point where people believe that he's actually living his raps. Hence the case, hence the gang leader YSL, hence the RICO charge, that he's actually participating in the things that he's talking about. And now here Brian Steele, I guess for the whole entire case, is trying to separate the fact of the idea that, you know, Young Thug is not. He's only speaking on these things. This isn't actually who he is. He's just portraying these things as a wrestler. And I believe that to be true for a certain extent. But art does have a way of imitating life. And I think this is one of the situations where we have to be mindful of the things that we do or the things that we promote, because realistically, at the end of the day, people's awareness or consciousness, people basically take things on face value. And nonetheless, he was using people taking things on face value to get clout, to get recognition. If people didn't believe that he was a thug or didn't believe that what he was saying in his raps, I truly believe his popularity would not have been what it is, or his popularity would not be what it is. That does not take away that he's an extremely talented rapper and extremely creative with his flows and his style and where he presents himself, which I got to give him up to. But I think that level of that thug, that hypermasculine energy, aggressiveness is what has drawn a lot of people to him. And so now he's outwardly saying that this is just a character, this persona, no different than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or Macho Man Randy Savage or Hulk Hogan. These are just ideas and positions that we play. And I am happy that that conversation is also coming into the forefront. And I think that more youth need to be aware of that so that they don't find themselves in this situation like Young Thug. We need to understand that it's not real. This is not real. This is a persona that he's using to basically get fame. It's or to get access to resources, things that people have done for eons of time. But within understanding, there's a certain line where when you communicate certain things and you express certain things, people can take these things to be literal and verbatim, and they can react and respond to these things. And so once again, it may not be him doing the things, but it may be people in affiliation, in association with him, who have read the Bible of Young Thug, who have tapped into what his belief systems are based upon what they believe he's rapping about to be true and what they believe that they need to do in order to be in allegiance with him. And then now they're acting out, and now they're participating in these things, and now he is caught in it because he's the ringleader. It's very much cult. It's very much a cult. And now he's suffering the consequences because his disciples are acting and doing things that are toxic, that has only been fueled by the things that he's been saying. And I think that at the end of the day, even though he's not participating or not doing the things, there has to be understanding that sometimes by communicating and promoting, you are actually an accomplice to the conversation. So I think we're becoming aware of that, and hopefully people become more conscious and aware of realizing that I do have a responsibility of what I do choose to share and do choose to speak about, do choose to amplify, and the consequences of that. And you can probably still do all of those things that he says that he's rapping about. I think if you do just put it and make sure that it's fiction and everyone knows that from the jump, but definitely that will change the response of the allure that often comes with that criminal, that underworld type of energy that a lot of male young rappers want to basically be a part of, because that whole entire aesthetic and that ideology brings forth clout, brings forth attention. But this is the slippery slope of that attention, and we've seen it count time and time and time again. I think probably the only person, in my experience, correct me if I'm wrong, that has navigated creating a fake persona as a rapper and elevated out of that particular space without ending in some level of criminality, that was a major rapper that got a lot of people to believe. I think there's two. I would say Ice Cube and I would say 50 Cent. But those two have also really strong acting careers and production teams. So they took that character and they expanded it into a universe, into reality, and evolved it out of just being in the lower level space. And I think that that's kind of a way to navigate out of this space. If you're creating the character like of the thug and the aggressor and all those type of situations, making sure that you create platforms in which to expand upon that. Also, Snoop Dogg, he's another example. I think so. All y'all performers, take a look at the three people that I talked about: Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, and 50 Cent and Ice Cube. They're perfect examples of how you can take that narrative or that perspective of being a thug, which initially, of course, in the first place, is something that has been generated. I'm sure there are some people who are really gang banging, but we also know what happens there. They get caught up and they get arrested. If that is something that you're taking on a persona temporarily as an expression, to express the level of your aggression or your anger as a young male, and to channel it in a way that's constructive through the art, that is also a viable thing to do, as many rappers do. But eventually understanding that you're participating in that way, communicating that way, you're going to have to evolve. And if you're going to want to stay in that lane, in that space, look to the people that I just said as an example of how to transition yourself out. Because as long as you keep talking that way and participating that way, you're going to keep pulling in experiences that could then leave you in a position similar to Young Thug or any of these other brothers. And that's all I got to say about that.